Hi, my name's Steve Wraith.
And I'm Malcolm MacDonald.
And this is NUFC Matters. Hi, welcome along to NUFC Matters. My name's Steve Wraith and welcome to the Dog and Parrot in the heart of Newcastle, where we do our pre-match talking, myself and Supermac. Always a good crowd gets in, and we always have a lot to talk about with regards to Newcastle United. But great to have you back. Sorry we've had a couple of weeks off. I've had a trip abroad. And obviously the festive season's upon us, so the show will be a little bit irregular.
Yeah, lucky you. I've just had bronchitis.
No John today, sadly. He's not even going to the game. We wish John well. He's okay though. Malcolm, let's look back at the fixtures that have been played since the last show. Southampton at home first, a game which I missed, but a good result after a poor start.
Yeah, Southampton were much the better side. They had, do you know, over the whole 90 minutes, I think they had something between 70 and 75% possession. Now, that in itself is worrying. The beauty about Newcastle is, though, that despite the opposition, even at St James Park having the vast majority of possession, that Newcastle are still able to hit on the break and go and score goals, albeit. And this leads me into the next game that came along, that it's okay if the defenders and midfielders scoring, but if they're not, Newcastle get absolutely turned over.
Yeah. Because
there's no threat. And that's exactly what happened in the following match at Turf Moor against Burnley, that Newcastle never had an attempt at goal in those whole 90 minutes, and you think, well, come on, forwards, where are you? You can't rely on the midfield and the defence to do all the goal scoring for you, and it's asking way too much, both against Southampton, against Burnley, and whoever there is to follow over the coming weeks and months. It's too much to be asking of defenders to be doing their job and the forwards' job. It just can't work out that way, and I think there's now big question marks with all of the forwards at Newcastle, to include Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
That they have got to start posing a serious threat to the opposition.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the Southampton game, with regards to that game, the positives out of that were obviously John Joe Shelby was given the captain's armband again. You know, he gets the goal. You know my views on Shelby. I'm not a fan of Shelby. I think Steve Bruce has played quite a smart game, because this guy can cause trouble in an empty room. That's why Rafa banned him from the squad, more or less. But this guy has actually come in. He's made a difference over the last few games. But then we see at Burnley, obviously he's out of the team. There's a lot of creativity missing from the team. It's a difficult situation for Steve Bruce at the minute as to what he does and how he does it.
Yeah, it is difficult for him. Because it's all very well pointing a finger at Shelby and saying, well, you did okay against Southampton, but you didn't do it against Burnley. The problem is that just ahead of Shelby, nobody's putting anything in.
Yeah.
That they're going through motions, they're having runs on the ball, but they're not actually doing something serious that will hurt the opposition.
Yeah.
And I just get the feeling that Shelby, he sees so much of it, and then his head starts to go down as well. I can't, I'm knocking them the best passes I can offer them, and they're wasting them. They're not doing anything with them, and so on and so forth. And it all becomes a mental thing. And also, if there's no threat, as we saw at Turf Moor, no threat whatsoever, then the defence can start to struggle as well. And they've done excellently this season, particularly since they went to a back three.
It's a typical Newcastle United performance, though. We go, we get a result against Southampton, and then we go to Burnley. Everyone's expecting a result. Burnley have been whopped 3 games in a row, not doing well. Newcastle go there, give an abject performance, and come away with nothing.
Nothing at all, and their backside's well and truly thrashed. And so, how are they going to react from there? For Steve, it's one of those conundrums that is almost impossible to find a solution to, and you just hope, and you never want to rely on hope as a football manager. You want to be able to provide the solution that the team can carry out. But I would imagine that Steve, with regards to this afternoon, he's hoping that they turn it on.
You've touched on the forwards. Obviously, Joe Linton carries the price tag, £40 million, 1 goal since he arrived. A lot of people were saying that if he was moved out to his favoured position, on the wing, that maybe would see the best of him. We didn't see the best of him last week, though. Is he beyond help? Is he really out of his depth? Is he going to be like John Dahl Thomason was all those years ago when, Ferdinand was sold, Shearer was injured, and John Dahl Thomason was expected to do a man's job in a boy's body but couldn't? Are we going to see something like that in the future with Joe Linton? Because for me, he doesn't look like a footballer. He just doesn't look like he's capable of scoring goals.
And certainly doesn't look like a centre forward.
No.
And the problem is that time is now running on so much for him that the pressure is weighing so heavily on him all the time that rather than finding it uplifting, it's the opposite. And the pressure is really on, and so I think he's going out on the football field at the moment and he's scared. And that's always a really sad state to be in. I've seen it happen with players, and as a teammate, you're quite helpless. You can't find that solution when they're in such a state. And so I think perhaps the best thing is to leave him out. What I'd like to see is Andy Carroll in there. Now, the one thing that isn't happening is that there's been no service coming in. Andy Carroll, he will demand it. Where Joe Linton, he was a pacifist and he wouldn't get on to people at all. In fact, I didn't see any communication from him whatsoever. But Carroll is a different kettle of fish entirely, and he will be demanding from the players that are wide that service has got to come in. And if that's happening, then you'll see Shelby pushing up and looking to support, and maybe stuff that drops down to the edge of the box and he's coming in to finish it. That can work, but it's got to be everybody working together with equal effort, and that's what we haven't seen. There
was a good article this week that I saw in the local press. Who should be given the number 9 shirt? Andy Carroll or Joe Linton? And for me, I personally don't feel either of them have the right to wear that shirt yet. You wore the shirt, you're a legend in the shirt, but Andy Carroll isn't, and neither is Joe Linton. So are they cheapening that shirt, do you think? I mean, I know in this day and age maybe they feel like that somebody should have it, but for me, I just think it's a shirt that should be given to somebody who's fit to wear it, and neither of those players are fit to wear that shirt.
Certainly I think Joe Linton has made his situation impossible, if not untenable, at the moment with regards to that shirt. Andy Carroll, I think perhaps give him half a dozen games, if he can stay fit enough for them, that is, of course. give him half a dozen games and say, right, now, come on. Really go and give it a go. Spark some life into the guys who are out wide, and be it Almiron, Atsu, SaintMaximin, whoever. But spark some life into these people, get the service coming there, and then the support will be coming from the middle. And heavens above, when you've got a fella the size of Andy Carroll loitering in the penalty area, ready to make his run towards the edge of the 6-yard box, he's one of the biggest targets to hit with crosses. So he should make the game easy for wide men.
FA Cup draw has been made. We had to wait a little while to see who we were going to play. Rochdale. Strike any fear into you? And is Steve Bruce being serious when he says he wants to give the fans a cup run?
I hope he sticks to his word. I really do. I honestly just have never understood why managers, when they know come January they are not going to win the title, so you must look to go and win the next best competition. That's the FA Cup, and I've seen weakened sides being put out there and half-hearted, lame excuses from managers as to why they're doing it. And having been a manager myself, I don't know how managers have got the effrontery to do that to the paying public, the supporters of Newcastle United, who, if they're not going to finish champions of the Premiership, then you've got to go for the next best thing. You must. For me, it's the professional thing to do. And so I don't know. I don't understand why they shirk the opportunity to do your very best in the cup matches, and to say, oh, we're giving youngsters we're blooding youngsters. Not good enough excuse. It really isn't. Success is the first and foremost target that any football club should aim for, and that is winning stuff.
Well, I've had a lack of creativity and goals in the team. Losing SaintMaximin just before the Christmas fixtures was a big blow. Not, certainly probably one of the brightest things so far about this season, mainly because the tax goes forward. He doesn't know what he's going to do, so nobody else is going to. But how big a blow is that for us going into the Christmas and January fixture?
Well, certainly I think the crowd have seriously warmed to him.
Yep.
I think they love him. And I think he's finding his way. He's not your usual type of forward or winger or whatever. He's got some real abilities in him that are quite uniquely his.
Yeah. And
I think that he's just got to be encouraged to use them as much as possible. What they need to do is, and I think that with having just recently scored, that might have sparked something in his head, that it's the end result that matters.
Yeah.
And to get there, you have to make goals or score goals, or do both, which is grand. And I think he's getting there.
Yeah.
It's others that I've worried for in that department.
Let's move on to something off the pitch. Half-season ticket sales.
Yeah.
Interesting idea. I'm not sure if there's any fans took it upon. Any fans in here take that up? Did you take them up? Anybody around the corner? You did? Why did you take one up?
It's free.
Because it's free, right?
It's free. Why not?
So a half-season ticket deal with Mike Ashley. It's never what it seems. So let's think about it mathematically. People at the start of the season who had already committed to the season and then cancelled their season tickets have probably paid for that.
Yes.
So those people will essentially have got a free ticket, but other fans will have paid for it. Mike Ashley certainly wouldn't have paid for it, I doubt very much. But interesting idea. Do you think it's the right idea? How many of these people? This guy here, there's one of the tickets has been taken up. but there may be a lot of these tickets being taken up by maybe the time for change guys and that kind of thing.
Maybe.
These empty seats, you just don't know. But is it a good idea? Is it good PR? And were you surprised to hear Lee Charnley finally break his vow of silence?
On the latter part, yes.
Yeah.
I certainly was. But it's a generous seasonal gift, isn't it, really, to supporters.
From the biggest Scrooge of all?
Yes, you certainly could say that. And so, I think good for them that they are showing just that little bit of understanding of the supporters and why have empty seats? They look absolutely horrible, don't they? When you're used to an absolute full stadium bursting every game, and then all of a sudden there's swathes of empty seats, it comes as a bit of a shock. And I really truly believe that the players can look at that and go, oh, and it's a bit depressing, their heads go down with it.
Yeah.
And so fill those seats and it gives the players a boost on the park. So, yeah, for me, I think maybe he's got something right finally.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I never thought I'd hear you say that Mike Ashley got something right on the show, Malcolm. That's for certain. As I've already said, Christmas fixtures come thick and fast. We've got a busy time. After today's game against Crystal Palace, we have that Christmas season of Everton, Leicester, Man United, some big games and some big teams in there. Let's look firstly at today's game. Crystal Palace got a bit of an injury crisis going on at the back,
haven't they?
Which is good for us. We've got our own injury problems as well.
Is it right that they're actually playing a reserve side at the back?
More or less,
defense?
yeah. More or less, yeah. Virtually their entire back four has been wiped out with one thing or another. So,
well, the good news for them is that they're playing against forwards who can't have a shot at Turf Moor.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see on that. You can talk about positivity and all sorts, but for me, it's an attitude of mind.
Yeah.
And I look at players out on the pitch, and their attitude is wrong. They've got to the stage where they are actually frightened to have a shot in case they miss.
Yeah.
And they're more than likely going to miss.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that they do not understand what the whole idea of goal scoring is about. The whole idea of goal scoring is that you have to miss. You have to miss before you can score. And you want as many chances to come your way as possible. You're going to miss some, and then all of a sudden you get a few goals. But the misses are continuous throughout your career as a goal scorer. And so I think these guys up here that they haven't realised it or they've forgotten it. With the younger players that are new into the club, that they've probably never realised it before, that they've never had it laid out to them like that. And so what they should be is every time they have a shooting opportunity and they take it and they miss, each time that it happens, they should get more and more and more confident that just around the corner is their next goal, rather than miss, head down, miss again, head further down. And that's what I'm seeing from them. By missing, they should raise their confidence that the next goal is just around the corner.
Okay, we'll come back to the prediction towards the end. Looking at these other games though, worst case scenario, we'll pick up nothing today after a defeat at Burnley last week. Then we've got these three fixtures against teams on the up. Everton's got a new manager, of course.
Yeah.
Man United is
and
away.
A hell of a manager as well.
Not a happy hunting ground, Old Trafford for us. And of course Leicester, who
they are flying
at the minute. So
they're still the best footballing side I've seen.
Conceivably, those 22 points we've got in the bag, they're great. But you know, it could be a long, hard winter for Newcastle if
Yes,
we don't
it
get
could.
3 points today.
It certainly could, and Rochdale could come as a relief. That's for sure.
Yeah, possibly. Or
yeah.
another Hereford.
Or another, yeah, whoops, oh dear. I think today is vitally important against Crystal Palace. Vitally important, just to get the points on the board that you might not be getting come the next 2 or 3 games. And so, yeah, it's going to be tough. Crystal Palace, they can turn it on.
Yeah.
Albeit I hear an awful lot about Zaha and his value is supposed to be 80 million. The only way he's worth 80 million is if you compare him with Joe Linton at 40 million. And I think Zaha is, I think he's overrated. I don't think he's anywhere near as good as everybody says. And I think Crystal Palace know that, to be honest. Which is why they're happy to have him in the side. And I don't think that 80 million is a realistic kind of fee for them. That they won't find any of the top sides, I think, happy to pay that kind of money. And so this afternoon with a pretty much a reserve back 4. If that doesn't put the confidence into Newcastle forwards to say, come on, let's get out there and turn them over, then I don't know what it is that will turn them on.
So December going into January, you can guarantee there's 2 things that are going to be talked about in the media. First and foremost, we've spoken about it 5 times this season so far, a takeover.
What takeover?
Yep, there's another takeover, Malcolm. Obviously don't believe it.
No.
Me neither.
No.
Yeah, we're not wasting any more time on that.
Yeah.
And then obviously transfers. Now the one interesting thing I picked out of Lee Charnley's interview on Radio Newcastle that Razor managed to get was they've done all their business in the summer. That was his line. We've done all our business in the summer. And unless something really, really, really intriguing and, you know, a value signing is available for them, then that's it. Their business is done. Can this side, or is this side capable of staying up, in your opinion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's certainly capable of staying up.
If we've got the full squad.
Yeah. Okay. But whether they will or not is entirely up to them. You know, are they going to sort of find a Southampton performance, or is it good, or if there's too many Burnley performances, where they just don't turn up at all and there's no shots on goal, then you've got no chance at all. So I would like to see this afternoon, I would like to see a backlash from the Burnley performance. And if that happens, then I will be looking at 2020 with confidence. That's for sure. But if it's a similar performance to what we saw at Burnley, then it might be becoming too much of a habit.
Half-term report for Steve Bruce from Malcolm MacDonald.
He's amazed me, I have to say.
Right.
He's done far, far better than ever I thought he would. But he's a centre half, and I don't think he understands the problems that he has up front, and the problems are becoming quite deep with regards to goal scoring. You can't keep relying on defenders to keep getting forward 100 yards to finish off a chance, and he has got to find a way to get the forwards. It's not just them sticking the ball in the net, but it's about putting serious pressure on the opposing back 4. He's pinning them back At the moment, they're not offering very much at all. Yeah. And you're seeing the back four of the opposition flooding forward to assist everybody. And Newcastle finish up getting overrun by it. And it's because there is a lack of threat, and that defenders, they feel confident to go forward and leaving gaps at the back. And so Newcastle have got to turn that situation around, and they've got to create a serious, constant threat to the opposition.
So when you've carved your turkey in the McDonald household on Christmas Day and you pull that wishbone, what wishes have you got for Newcastle United in 2020?
Yeah, stay up.
Stay up.
Stay up is the first one without any shadow of a doubt. I would like to see a magical fairy come along and wave a magic wand on the scouting division at St James Park so that it disappears for good, because they haven't got a clue what they're doing. They really haven't, and I scratch my head as to the business that they've done, as to whether as to what their motives were. I think I'll leave it at that before I get arrested or thrown out of St James Park later on. And then Christmas time is one of generosity, I think. And I just hope that maybe one of those fairies can wave a little spell over Mike Ashley, so that he realises that if you're going to own a Premiership football club and you're going to be serious about it, you need to invest. The money's coming in. The trouble is that too much is being shoveled off to Sports Direct.
Sorry for swearing, folks. I never used that name on this programme.
He's got to splash the cash.
Don't beat that out, lads.
We'll send an invoice for advertising, and so I would like Mike Ashley to become serious about running a football club. It can't be run like another kind of business, Sports Direct or any of his other interests. A football club is very unique, and it has to be run as a football club needs to be run, totally different to a sports company. And so I would like him to realise that and to go about it here at St James Park in a proper football fashion.
My wish would be obviously to get a new owner. That is always the priority. I do want to stay up.
Can't see it happening.
I want to see a cup run, and I want to see Almiron score.
That would be nice. Yes.
And again, but in that order.
Okay. When he does score, and sooner or later I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
How do you think he's going to react?
That's a good question. He's going to have something planned.
Is he just going to go all the way around the pitch doing somersaults?
My biggest concern is when he does score VAR, which has been the bane of our life since August.
Yeah.
And I think, that could be. You can imagine him scoring a great goal and it'll be chalked off for VAR, a bit like Tiote against Man City all those years ago. It could be exactly like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does break his duck anyway. All right. Before we finish the show, prediction, please.
For this afternoon.
For this afternoon.
In the hope that they have seriously got rid of the Burnley nonsense and people start to turn it on this afternoon, I'll go for a 2-1 home win. 2-1
home win, okay.
Yeah.
Any scorer for Newcastle?
I think Andy Carroll will score.
Andy Carroll?
Yeah, I can see him putting their centre-halves under serious pressure.
Okay.
And something will drop down off him as well for somebody else to come in and finish.
Right.
It would be nice for Andy Carroll to score. Also, it would be nice to see Hayden get into the box just now and again, and maybe something fall to him.
Okay, I'm going for a 1-1 draw today. I can't see a win. I think Newcastle will draw. I think, again, it'll be a midfielder or a defender who scores. I don't think we'll have a forward score. I think that will happen over the Christmas period, though. I think the Christmas fixtures will finally see somebody break the duck. Either Joe Linton or Almiron or Andy Carroll, but I can see that happening. But that's it. That's the end of our shows for 2019. Thank you everybody for joining in. Subscribe to NUFC Matters if you haven't already done so. Thanks to our audience in the Dog and Parrot. Thank you very much.
Thank you all
We
so
don't
much.
always have an audience. And I hope everyone has a fantastic Christmas and a great 2020. We will be back in January, hopefully with John Gibson, me, myself and Supermac. We're now playing out with the Banshees from Liverpool.
Walking round to head